One day you might look up and see me playing the game at 50. Oh, don't laugh. Don't. Never say never.
So right there you saw Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame speech from 2009, where he's talking about the real possibility of him actually coming back and playing in the NBA at the age of 50. And I know it might seem like he was half joking, but in this video, I'm going to show you guys how close he actually was to making an NBA comeback with the Bobcats in 2007 and 2014. And the first clip I have for you guys is from 2007 at a Bobcats practice, and you'll hear from notable players like Jason Richardson and Charlotte Wallace talking about how good MJ was even at the age of 43.
Today he's in full gear. Greatest player that plays this game, and he can help us out. There's a lot of things that he knows about the game that can help us out. We still got a young team that needs some understanding, and wherever he goes, he's going to show us and teach us how to do it. We're going to take advantage of it.
I mean, that's not the first time I played against him. The first time I was excited, a little nervous, but the second time it's just, he's just one of the guys now. So he's one of us. He's a Bobcats owner, so he's part of the team that we have here. So it's just a lot of fun for him.
If I could have Michael sign for the year, I shouldn't even say that. He can do that all day. There's no question in my mind he can come in right now and be effective in the NBA. There's not a doubt in my mind.
All I did was shoot and, more or less just help the morale of the players. For the last couple of days, it's all about just trying to get them to focus on the little things about playing as a team.
We'd love to have them, once or twice a month. His schedule can't do that, but it'd be great to get around, just, come around. Guys like to see him. We sit playing one-on-one with each other. That's just part of, just having fun. He's part of the organization.
It was a workshop this week, because I felt like they needed it. They've been getting at a point where they just could not get over the hump. And a lot of that's because of their own play. It's partly because of the way they go out and focus on some of the little things, which was good.
So it's very impressive that Jordan was able to hold his own with prime NBA players at the age of 43. And when you have Bobcats head coach Sam Vincent saying Jordan would hold his own and that he would no doubt be effective in the NBA, I think that shows how good Jordan was even at the age of 43. And 4 years later, Michael Jordan would again be spotted playing 5-on-5 at a Bobcats practice, and when Gerald Wallace was asked how good Jordan was, here's how he responded. Quote, "He's Mike. He's been kicking our butts. He still has it. He doesn't have the quickness, but he can score. He's a shooter. The last thing to ever go is your jump shot, and he has that." And at the time, Gerald Wallace, he was averaging 18 points per game and 10 rebounds, and he was actually an all-star in the 2010 season, which makes it even more impressive that Jordan, even at age 47, was holding his own with an all-star caliber player. And Bobcats coach Paul Silas, he said having Jordan around the practices, it definitely elevated the intensity because no one wants to get scored on or beat on a fast break by their 47-year-old boss. Now, unfortunately, in 2014, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, he would be a victim of a 50-year-old Michael Jordan in a 1v1. And I want you guys to keep in mind, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, he was the number 2 pick in the NBA draft, and he was 19 years old.
You actually talked about playing Michael Jordan one-on-one, and he actually beat you. What was that experience like playing, a lot of people say is the greatest player of all time? What was that experience like playing him one-on-one?
It was a dream come true. Made a dream come true. That's really about it, man. That's my boss, so. But that's really it.
If you have the opportunity to play him one-on-one again, anything that you would do differently on defense to try to beat your boss?
Nah, I win though.
And MKG in the interview, he didn't seem particularly thrilled with the question. I think it actually was kind of a burden on him. And in his quote from Bleacher Report, he actually says it was hard for him to get over that loss because, you're playing a 50-year-old guy who is your boss. But I think if it's any consolation, you are playing the greatest player of all time, and there's no shame in losing to that guy in a 1v1. And shortly after the news broke that MKG lost to MJ in a 1v1, other reports surfaced that Michael Jordan's legendary trainer, Tim Grover, he was actually getting together a training regimen that would get a 50-year-old Jordan ready for an NBA comeback. And when Tim Grover was asked how successful he thinks Jordan would be at the age of 50, here's what he said. Quote, "His skill level was so superior to everyone else. His understanding of the commitment to the task, so different. I absolutely believe playing at 50 is attainable. Of course, things have been diminished away from the game so long, but even with what's been diminished by age, by not playing, I still think he's superior to a lot of the players out there now. And if anyone would know how possible a comeback would be, I think Tim Grover would be the guy. He trained Michael Jordan when he came back from baseball and when he came back for the Wizards. And he's also one of the smartest guys when it comes to the human body and knowing how to adapt to certain situations. So Tim Grover saying this, I think it speaks volumes to how good Jordan could have been if he actually made a comeback. And next up, we're going to look at two clips from the 2014 season where the Bobcats interviewed Gerald Henderson and Bismack Biyombo, where they talked about Michael Jordan participating in practices and helping them learn the game of basketball.
He's just trying to be helpful. If anybody knows him, he's attentive. He watches every game, he watches every practice. He's the best ever to play. So, he's got that competitive nature, and he always feels like he can help you.
He can still play the game, honestly. The way I see him, I think he can still play the game, and if you want to, but just 50 years old, man, going out after 25 years old and playing as hard as he was playing, so he's pretty good.
So around this time, there was a lot of hype and buzz about Jordan actually making a comeback, and during that very same season, Jalen Rose made a very bold prediction about Michael Jordan becoming a Charlotte Bobcat.
I'll make a quick prediction for the Bobcats. Michael Jordan is coming out of retirement and playing one game this year.
You serious?
Yes.
Oh my God. That would be the biggest story of the year. When you think about it, though, all right, he plays one game. They waive the owner rule. Now he can sell the jersey, premiere some new Air Jordan 30-year anniversary shoe.
It's a good idea.
A lot of hype. See, the thing about you is you know things.
So sadly, Jalen Rose's prediction, it would turn out to be wrong, but I think that video clip, it gives some perspective to people's thoughts in the media at the time that it was a real possibility that Jordan would actually make a comeback. And here's a clip from 2017 at a Nike event in Paris where Jordan talks about playing as former players and playing as current players on the Charlotte Hornets.
How close from your team and your players are you at the Charlotte Hornets? Do you go, for example, training with them or stuff like that? Or
I go watch them, but I don't get down and play with them. I used to. I'm too old for that now, but I watch, and from upstairs or give my advice whenever they ask for it, and but I'm still involved in the game, which is where I want to be.
And do you think if you play against some of your guys right now, do you sometimes do that or not? Or could you win on one-on-ones against them? Or?
I'm pretty sure I can, so I don't want to do that and demolish their confidence, so I stay away from them. I let them think they're good. They think that they are good, but I'm too old to do that anyway.
And if you ask me personally, do I think Jordan could have been a successful player at age 50? I side with Tim Grover, Sam Vincent, Paul Silas, Gerald Wallace, Jason Richardson, and I say Jordan, he could have been a successful player at the age of 50. I think he would have been a role player, maybe averaging that 10-12 points per game. I think he was definitely capable of doing that if he would have gotten in shape and followed Tim Grover's training regimen. And this may sound insane to some people, but Michael Jordan, he's one of the most driven athletes in the history of sports, and if he's determined to do something, he is definitely going to do it. And to end the video, I'm just going to show you a fun story from one of Michael Jordan's All-American camps that feature OJ Mayo that shows you guys how competitive Jordan was even after he retired, and how he was never afraid to show the young players that he still was the greatest player of all time.
So this can be something you probably could print. I'm playing in my camp against OJ Mayo. He was a top high school kid coming out, and I never met him first time. In front of my camp, he starts this thing about, you can't guard me, you can't do this. I got my campers here, so obviously I can't really go where I want to go because of my camp. So I stop the camp, send the kids to bed. We go back to playing, and he starts his whole thing, that you can't guard me, you can't do this. And then finally I said, look, dude, you may be the best high school player, but I'm the best player in the world. So from this point on, it's a lesson. And from that point on, it was a lesson. He never won a game. I posted him up. I did everything. If I can ever show you that film, and if you can ever ask him that, ask him about the thing that happened at my camp. I don't consider that trash. I consider that fact. You call it trash.
Did the American people get it right?
The 34%.
The 34%. I mean, and what we're saying is, can he right now, at 52 years old,
here, right now,
beat LeBron one-on-one? I mean, and beyond, come on.
Stephen A.
Oh,
Smith.
gosh, don't do this.
He just might be able to.
Don't do
He
this.
just might be able to.